Every single year, without fail, January comes rolling around, and soon after, I see so many YouTube videos, Facebook posts, and forum posts from Turo hosts that are extremely concerned and worried about the decrease in demand. And more often than not, there are a lot of tones of impending doom. January is a really slow month for Turo hosts, and for new Turo hosts that haven't been on the platform for very long, this slowdown, especially after such a busy holiday season, can be really jarring. But every single year, without fail, January comes and goes, and once we head into February and March, demand ticks back up to normal once again. And so in this video, I'm going to be breaking down what I do to ensure that number one, my cars are being properly utilized throughout the month of January, but number two, I'm using and making the most of my time throughout the month, despite the fact that utilization is in fact lower. So if you're a Turo host who's wanting to increase your January earnings, or if you're somebody who's just wanting to make the most of your time and of your fleet this month, this is the perfect video for you. But before we dive in, I do want to let you guys know that my course, the Car Sharing Masterclass, is currently on sale. And if you use the code NEWYEAR200 from now until January 15th, you can get 40% off the entire course. January is one of my favorite times of the year to sit down and to figure out what I want to accomplish throughout the year. It's the perfect time to take on new goals, new businesses, and new side hustles. So if you're somebody who has been looking and wanting to start a Turo fleet, now is the perfect time to do that. And my course, the Car Sharing Masterclass, can help you. In the course, we go over everything you need to know about car sharing, from how to buy cars, how to deal with damage claims, how to handle your LLC and your accounting. Basically, every aspect of the equation is covered in this course. We're also offering monthly Zoom calls starting this month, and we have a private Discord as well. If you're interested in checking it out, I will have a link down in the description below, and you can use the code NEWYEAR200 to get 40% off. Now, back to the video. For most Turo hosts around the country, January is the slowest time of the year, and there are a few reasons for this. Number one, January is a month where people are getting back into their routine. They just spent the last 6 weeks celebrating the holidays, the kids were out of school, people were out of work, but now it's time to get back to business, and as a result, people are traveling much less in January than they were the last previous couple of months. But travel aside, January is oftentimes a month where people are cutting back on their spending and they're watching their budget a little bit closer after all of their holiday overspending. Because of this, people may be less likely to rent a car even if they need one, simply because they want to save money. Even my fleet, a fleet predominantly targeted towards local rentals, sees a dip in January, and I believe that this is largely attributed to people wanting to save money, and thus they're less likely to rent a car. The point is, unless you live in markets like Florida or Hawaii, you're probably going to be experiencing a dip in demand over the next couple of weeks. But don't worry, this dip will not last forever, and there are some things that you can do in the meantime in order to ensure that your cars are rented out as much as possible. Number one is to remain utilized. Depending on your fleet size, you may remain fully utilized throughout the month of January. I noticed that with my own fleet, whenever I only had a few cars, I didn't really experience a ton of issues in January, but as my fleet began to grow, and as I sit here today, I have 21 vehicles, I noticed that utilization in the month of January is much more of a struggle than it used to be. This may also be attributed to not just the growth in my own fleet, but the growth in Turo as a whole. But whenever it comes to getting your car booked out, whenever times are a bit slower, the number one factor is going to be your price. So I encourage you to pay very close attention to your price throughout the entire month. Pay attention to what your cars are priced at, pay attention to what the competitors are priced at, and pay attention to the general prices of different cars in your market. I, of course, would never recommend for you to unnecessarily lower your prices, but lowering your prices in 5 to 10% increments until you get a booking can be a good call depending on the car. And remember, never lower the price of your car so much so that you're losing money on each and every rental. It just isn't worth it at that point, and I'd rather have my cars sit. In addition to your utilization, this time of year is a great time to kind of audit your Turo profile and to look at the statistics associated with your profile. So things like your acceptance rate, your reviews, your total trip count, what guests are saying about your cars. These are all things that are going to play a role whenever it comes to getting your cars booked out. I've talked about this a lot on my channel, but the statistics that Turo finds important are incredibly important for you to keep an eye on. Things like your response rate, your acceptance rate, your reviews. These are all things that are taken into account whenever it comes to you ranking in the Turo search results. A host with 5-star average reviews, 100 trips, and a 100% acceptance rate will rank higher than a host with the exact same car, but with a 4-star rating, 100 trips, and an 85% acceptance rate. In fact, I would be willing to bet that if you're somebody who's struggling with your stats as a Turo host today, meaning you might not have stellar reviews, you might have a poor acceptance rate, poor response time, I bet you that if you pay attention to these things throughout 2023 and you make an active, conscious effort to improve them, that by the time 2024 rolls around, you will perform significantly better come next January, even if you have the same number of cars. Because of the fact that these things matter, they help your ranking and thus they help you get more rentals. Another great way to take advantage of January is to catch up on maintenance and repairs. HP and I have a policy where we do all of our required maintenance before busy seasons. Over the next couple of weeks, we'll be doing oil changes on most of our cars, a couple of our cars are getting new tires, and a few more are going to get sway bar end links replaced. Now, of course, if there is a pressing safety issue that happens during a busy season, we will of course address that at that time. But for maintenance that just needs to be done on a consistent schedule or on a consistent basis, these are things that we will typically address either before or after a busy season, which means that January is typically full of maintenance. On the topic of maintenance, January is also a great time for you to deep clean your vehicles. As a Turo host with 21 cars, HP and I do not do a deep clean on every single one of our cars between each and every rental. We of course disinfect the car, we vacuum it, we make sure that it's tidy, and if we need to, we will also wash the exterior, but we don't whip out the carpet cleaner between each and every rental because that would take a ton of time and a ton of effort. Instead, what we typically do is a few times a year, we will address the deep cleaning that needs to be done on these cars on an individual basis. And January is typically one of the times that we do this. We will look at each and every car that comes back on different rentals, and if we need to, we will block out that car for a day in order to make sure that we can get a deep clean in. This not only allows for our cars to last longer on the Turo platform, it gives the guests a better experience, and it helps our overall reviews throughout the rest of the year. Now, this is how I, a Turo host who's been on the platform for 5 years, has 21 cars and 3,100 trips, this is how I spend my January. But if you are a newer Turo host, or if you're wanting to figure out ways to improve your operations, then I have some additional suggestions for you. Number one is getting set up with QuickBooks or some sort of accounting software or accounting process. It doesn't have to be QuickBooks. It could be Mint.com, which is free. It could also be a simple Excel spreadsheet. Starting some sort of accounting practice at the beginning of the year makes it so much easier to keep track of it and to be consistent throughout the rest of the year, rather than starting in January or July and then having to go back and figure out where you spent your money, what you did throughout the rest of the year. If you're going to start doing this, which I highly recommend that you do, now is absolutely the best time to start. Again, I use QuickBooks personally, but you could use Mint.com, which is 100% free. It is owned by QuickBooks and it has a lot of similarities. You can also use something super simple like Apple Numbers or Microsoft Excel. Another great way that you can streamline your operations is to sign up for a service like CarSync. This allows for you to automate your messages, and you can spend the next few weeks setting up the automations, writing out the scripts, and figuring out exactly how CarSync can work in order to benefit your fleet. If you don't want to use CarSync, another option is to simply write out pre-written scripts, put them in the notes section of your phone, and then copy and paste them into the different trips whenever it's applicable. This is what I did for a long time before I started using CarSync. And last but not least, if finding a new location for your Turo fleet is something that's on the horizon, January is a great time to do this, because take it from somebody who knows from experience, changing the locations of your fleet during a busy season is extremely difficult. Finding a location of where you want to store your Turo fleet is oftentimes a pain point for many Turo hosts, and you can do a wide variety of different things, from storing your car at a public parking lot like a Walmart, which is something I probably wouldn't recommend, or alternatively, you can rent a space at a commercial parking lot, an office space, things like that. There are a lot of creative ways you can go about doing this, and I have a number of videos covering this topic, but if you're wanting to look at changing your location in the near future, January is a great time to do that. And last but not least, simply embrace the fact that January is a bit slower and take it for what it is. The fact is, there are a lot of busy periods of time for Turo and for car sharing, and January just isn't one of those. But that doesn't mean it's not going to eventually get busy. It absolutely will. Over the years, I've found that the lead up to the holiday season can be so crazy, so busy, and overwhelming at times that I've come to actually appreciate the slowdown that oftentimes comes with January, and I encourage you guys to do the same. At the end of the day, the point of this video is that January is just slower, so don't worry. It's not a crash, it's not going to continue falling, it's just cyclical, and it's the way that it is. Be patient, plan for the rest of the year, and enjoy. But like always, you guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, comments, if you have anything to add, I would love to hear it, so make sure to leave a comment down below. And while you guys are at it, make sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next video.